Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. If somebody could just give a thumbs up in the chat or a hello, anything like that in the public chat to give me a heads up that you can hear me okay, that'd be awesome. Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate it. All right, we'll give everybody about 5 minutes and then we'll kick off. Thanks. Welcome in, everybody. The FME Accelerator will get kicked off here in about 3 minutes or so. And feel free to use the chat as Alex just did, giving a welcome and such. We'll introduce some of the team members and presenters in a few minutes, but we are happy to have you all on the call today. It's great to have you on the call, Brad. Hope you are staying well and it's not too early for you there. Anybody else from afar? I'm based in Christchurch, New Zealand, which we'll get into, but anybody else calling in from anywhere else in the Pacific or Northern Hemisphere? Welcome, Tobias. I've been fortunate enough to go to French Polynesia a while back for my wife's 40th. So it was a great trip. So it was beautiful. We really liked Rete. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it was beautiful. With that, I'll get started today. Anybody else who might be coming in, it's a bit of an intro, so they'll be able to catch up pretty easily. But welcome to the Locus FME Accelerator. My name's Gavin, and I'm based in Christchurch, and I'll be your guide through the FME Accelerator today. So today you're sharing this course with, we had about 80 sign up. Hopefully we get up there. Looks like we are around 20 or so right now. Those are delegates all over the world. So they're all keen to learn more about FME though. And although many of the delegates are from New Zealand, as seen in the chat, we've got French Polynesia, Northern Mariana, and from who knows where you come from today. So welcome everybody. And this is a little course that will, over the course of 90 minutes, provide you with an introduction on how FME can help meet your data and automation challenges. Now, before we start, can everybody please make sure you have the follow presenter button turned on? This is in the top left, and it is a little green toggle. If you don't have that turned on, you might get a little lost on what we're covering off, and we don't want that. So hopefully this should make things a little bit easier for you while we get everybody up to speed with Strigo. So as I said, my name's Gavin Jeter, and I'm joined today by my colleagues here at Locus. We have Alex, Mackenzie, and Dan, who will be providing training assistance. If you have any issues while doing the course, these fine folks are here to help you out. Okay, so let's start with our agenda. To start with, we'll do some housekeeping and run you through how we use the Strigo platform for delivering today's workshop. Then we have 4 sections to work through. Why data integration? What problems are we trying to solve, and how does FME help us? Then we get into connect to data, and that'll demonstrate how easy it is to read and write hundreds of different data formats with FME. Transform data will demonstrate to you how easy it is to manipulate data with FME. We then get into automating data, and the true power of FME is automation. Instead of sitting at your desk, clicking buttons and watching things run, we can automate our workflows, thinking triggers, actions, and integrations, and that orchestrates the data manipulation. And of course, in amongst all of this, we will introduce the FME platform, helping you understand how it works whilst giving you some hands-on experience at the same time. This event is 90 minutes long, and please feel free to provide feedback after the course, as we are always looking to make it better. One of the great things about this course is that everything you'll need for today is included in the Strigo platform. There's no need to install FME or copy data onto your own systems. We are recording this session, and we'll be emailing a link to the recording in the next few days. So as mentioned, Strigo is the delivery platform that we're using to present the course. So let's just spend a minute here to get everybody up to speed. The navigation pane on the left allows you to access the different sections of the training. And that includes viewing the course materials, viewing the course slides and my screen when demonstrating FME. You can also access your lab for the hands-on exercises using FME. At the bottom left, you can access the audio and video help if needed. In the top right, you should see me. And then we have the chat pane, which I'll cover this in a little more detail in a moment. Be sure, as mentioned, to click the Follow Presenter button whenever I'm presenting. Otherwise, you might not be seeing what I'm currently talking about. You can jump into your lab machine at any time by clicking on the Flask in a Cloud icon. This machine contains an installation of FME and everything else you might need. I will discuss the labs in the future, so if you click on that and it looks a little bit cluttered, I'll be able to walk you through that in a moment. The general chat is used for quick polls, and I believe the raise hand button is no longer on the right, it's actually on the left-hand side of the screen. And if you need help, then please use the raise hand feature or the call for assistance button, and that will immediately put you into a queue where one of the technical assistants, Mackenzie, Alex, and Dan, can help you. So don't worry if this sounds like a lot to remember. There's a reminder slide later on in the presentation, and we'll talk about it when we get the labs started. So we'll cover it again. Incidentally, when the labs start, you also get about 5 to 6 minutes per exercise. So once you have completed the exercises, just return to the presenter screen by clicking on the Follow Presenter button. And don't worry, it's all nice and easy, so I'll be reminding you along the way as well. And finally, just a reminder that the session's being recorded as I mentioned earlier. So let's dive in. Why data integration? Data has become a greater challenge for many organizations simply because there is now much more data available than there ever has been before. The systems we use at work, the devices we wear, the applications we use at home, the growth of Internet of Things and smart cities and infrastructure, and of course the huge data ecosystems that are on our mobile phones means that data is now everywhere. We are also seeing the growth of data-driven decision-making. In simple terms, making better business decisions based on data rather than gut feel. However, to make decisions based on data, you first have to have access to data. And secondly, you have to have confidence in that data. So whilst we see there is an ever-increasing demand to make data available, we also see that data gets stuck in applications and becomes siloed. This is where FME can help and is the reason that many data managers are choosing it to help resolve their data challenges. Let's do a quick poll to understand a little bit more about your challenges. So if you could just type the letter for which apply to you. What data integration challenges does your organization face? And if you could just throw a letter in the chat, that'd be awesome. A, for sharing data. B, incompatible systems. C, slow and manual processes. And D, data volume. We've got a B from Reagan. Yeah. B and C. A. C, D. It sounds like all of the above. We should have had an E, right? A lot of us deal with all of those, I reckon. So here's some of the challenges. We can all agree that there are many different data challenges, and more described here on this slide. I'm sure that throughout our careers, we will be able to relate to one or more of them. I certainly know I have. For many years, FME has been the tool of choice for those working in the location technology sector. However, the challenges faced by the location sector aren't really any different from those of other sectors. The tools that Safe Software have developed are just as appropriate to businesses working outside of the location tech as those in it. Indeed, in building a tool to solve the issue faced by location technology professionals, Safe Software has actually built a tool that solves the issues of IT and data professionals in general. Ultimately, FME can help with all of these challenges. And here at Locus, we are constantly surprised by the huge variety of ways that FME is used to solve data and integration problems. Data has become a critical business asset and potential digital goldmine. However, many organizations still don't treat it as such. Anyone that has worked with poor data or siloed systems, and I know I have, will tell you that it isn't much fun. What users want is data that is available and reliable. Part of the solution of making data available is enterprise integration. Being able to integrate systems together and provide useful and reliable information to the end user. And this is exactly what FME does. It effectively sits as a layer between your data sources, whatever they are, and end users, cleaning and improving data as it flows through the platform before provisioning it to end users or applications. FME supports a multitude of formats: geospatial data, structured and unstructured data, linked data, raster, BIM, and time series, and so much more. And all this data is integral for AI systems. If you're interested in using AI workflows in your organization or business, FME is the Any Data, Any AI platform. Not only can you use inbuilt AI assistance in FME Form, but FME also enables you to use any data in your workspace across any AI model or any AI platform. So it doesn't matter if you use OpenAI or Copilot, Claude, or even an on-premises Llama. They all work in FME, and any data you pull into the workspaces can be used in the workflow as well. And when we say FME supports a multitude of formats, we mean it. These are just a handful of the 500 plus data types that read natively in FME. There are too many to try and keep up with, and when you consider the online API feeds, it has to be in the thousands. Ultimately, FME makes it easy when connecting data from multiple sources, enabling you to power business decisions with all of the information that's available. Whether it's spatial, non-spatial, 2D, 3D, 4D, or involve AI or not. FME is ahead of the game in terms of understanding spatial data. It's FME's unique selling point and something that FME does much better than the competition. Having personally worked in the location technology industry for about 25 years or more, it still surprises me that anyone would create or use an integration platform that doesn't inherently understand spatial information. It is often said that over 80% of the data held by local authorities has some spatial element to it. Whether it's an address, a street name, an X and Y coordinate, or ward boundary, spatial data is everywhere. What is special about location-based data is the spatial relationships between data. For example, being able to identify the nearest hospital to the location of traffic accident, or whether a particular GPS coordinate is in this hazard zone, or whether a set of customers visited a particular retail store. FME provides tools to allow you to query these relationships. So while we understand spatial data may be a specialty of FME, This isn't to say that non-spatial data is ignored. If anything, it's the opposite. Non-spatial data benefits from all the experience that safe software has building up and dealing with complex spatial relationships. Spatial data is becoming increasingly important for organizations as it adds a whole new realm of capability in analytics. There are just so many pieces of data that link back to a location of sorts, whether it's an address, a point of interest, IP address, and the list has become endless. It's the reality of the connected world we live in. Understanding this and providing so much more insight than ever before, allowing for smarter decision making and better outcomes for customers, whomever they may be. Across the IT world, we are seeing an increasing number of major organizations supporting spatial data. It's almost becoming mainstream. However, the degree to which they support spatial data differs between organizations. Some simply put a Google map in their app. Others are more complete in their approach to spatial data management. Regardless, FME can support the ingestion of spatial data into a wide variety of different enterprise platforms. Location data can be used to help organizations in many ways. It can be used to drive sales. For example, understanding how customers behave, where they go, and how they get there can help organizations drive target sales that are more appropriate to the customer. Location data can also improve operations. You might track an asset's location, leading to operational efficiencies and enabling asset location and workforce location to be combined. It can also increase situational awareness with event location. Imagine a sports stadium or a disaster recovery. Location information that tracks people, places, and resources can improve operations and efficiency exponentially during an event. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the FME platform. The FME platform can be considered to have two main components with a third optional application. FME Form is the authoring environment where you build your data integration workflows. That's primarily what you'll see being demonstrated today. FME Flow in the middle, which is deployed on premises or in your private cloud, allows for extensive automation of workflows created in FME Form. Note that FME Flow can also be deployed in a fully hosted AWS cloud environment called FME Flow Hosted. The third product on the right is FME Realize, which is an iPhone and iPad app available for viewing spatial data in augmented reality, or AR. Enabling you to experience your data in a real-world environment, including running workspaces and viewing information in 3D data. But circling back to FME Form on the left, the authoring platform. This program is capable of multiple integrations, transformations, and translations, or a combination of those. It can natively read a multitude of data sources at any time, whether it's CAD, different geospatial formats, tables, raster, REST APIs, XML, HTML, and so on and so forth. The power with FME comes from its multiple transformers, and there's hundreds of them, and they allow the user to manipulate data in numerous ways, whether schema manipulation, modification of attributes, or even changing spatial geometries. FME Form can also be used to evaluate the quality of data to ensure that it meets specified standards. It can perform duplication evaluation, change detection, fixing incorrect data and invalid geometries, all of which help to provide a single source of truth. FME Flow provides the ability to automate tasks required within a business. If FME Form is the authoring, Then FME flow is the conductor and orchestrating various workflows to run at specific times or based on specific triggers. The FME platform enables you to connect data between applications using a visual interface. It offers a large library of connectors and transformers which enable data to be used and shared in whatever applications is best fit for your purpose. Automation frees you and your team from the burden of repetitive manual tasks and ensures that the latest information is always available for those who need it. We divide the process of building FME workflows into 3 general steps: connect to your data and applications, transform your data to fit your needs, and automate your workflows to run when you need them. We'll be covering each of these in various exercises today. So it's always difficult to come up, today's scenario is what we're getting into now. It's always difficult to come up with a scenario that will meet the needs of everyone on the course. Everyone has different backgrounds and interests. Nevertheless, in this scenario, we're putting you in the shoes of a local authority worker who has been asked to identify food vendors who are going to be impacted by construction work that is being undertaken across the city. The scenario we're talking about may include food vendors and construction work, but you can easily imagine how the concepts you will learn today would be applicable to a whole range of different scenarios using different data. Whilst we will be working with 2 main data sets, we're also going to learn how we can enhance existing data with information from other applications that the Council holds. Let's start off by understanding how we can connect to different source and output data sets. At this point, we will have to use a few technical terms from here on in. They will help describe functionality and are part of the language to FME. While it's a bit of terminology, the exercises are very straightforward, so you should have no trouble keeping up. Source data can come from a variety of sources, such as files, databases, or from the web and different APIs, etc. In order to connect to your source datasets, FME uses a reader. In an FME workspace, the readers are listed in the Navigator panel, which is seen in the middle of the presentation here, and also displayed on the canvas, which is on the right, and you can also see this on the next slide and in the exercises. We find all the settings and parameters associated with that particular type of reader in either of those locations, such as data format, input location, and the feature types of the different layers that are being read in. Each reader is capable of reading specific formats of data. To make things simple, the example here is an Excel spreadsheet. FME Form Workbench is the FME application used to author your translation scripts, and a workspace is what we call the file created by the workbench. This is an example of a workspace. Readers read in groups of data called feature types on the left. Essentially, feature types are groupings of similar types of data. For example, in a utilities data set, feature types might include potable water, sewage, and stormwater. These are represented on the left-hand and the right-hand side of your canvas as orange boxes. In the examples on the screen, the data set is an Esri ArcGIS geodatabase, and we are reading in the community centers and accessible parking layers, or feature types in FME speak. If we're reading in an Excel spreadsheet, then the different tabs in that spreadsheet would be feature types. The boxes in blue in the middle are the transformers, things that do something to the data. In this case, it's buffering the accessible parking by 200 meters and then doing a spatial filter, checking which Vancouver community centers have accessible parking within that 200-meter buffer. And then it gives you the outputs. And in this case, we want the failed outputs to write to an Excel spreadsheet of inaccessible community centers. Remember that in a workspace, the data flows from left to right. Data comes in, we do something to it, and then we write it out. All right, now, before I let you loose on the lab, here's a reminder on how this is going to work. First, remember the public chat pane is for public online chats with myself or the group. If you need help with the exercises, please use the call for assistance button. In that screenshot, it's on the right, but I believe it's on the left-hand side now. You'll see a little hand, and that'll raise your hand, and there will be an option for lab assistance. Please click that button. After you call for an assistant, our team can get a message, and then they can jump into your virtual machine and message you directly, so they can help out as well as get into your machine and use it and show you the way. First things first, we're going to be doing lessons 1 and 2 back to back, but first I'd like to demonstrate them and then give you time to work through them yourselves. So what you'll do is you'll click My Lab on the left-hand side, and when you open up your screen, you'll see it's quite cluttered. If you get a blue Networks tab here, you can just click yes or no. It doesn't matter which one you click. I should be able to get that. Now, a few quick tips to help you. If you're hearing my voice, but you're not seeing me work through the lab, click on the Follow Presenter button, top left, the green toggle. Up on the top left, you'll see a collapse button. It's a bar with an arrow next to it. You can click this button to get a little bit more canvas on your space. And you can do that on the right-hand side as well. So where you see your chat pane and video, you can click the collapse button there as well. And this will give you a full screen if you're using a laptop. The other thing I would recommend clicking is, first of all, this is FME Form that's opened, the application, and it looks quite cluttered. So what you can do is click on the Maximize button, and that will open that. And then finally, one more quick tip. This little pin, P-I-N, on the right-hand side says Collapse Group. If you click the Collapse Group button, that will close that right-hand side. And now you'll see a screen that looks very similar to what I was sharing with you in the presentation. I need to see the exercises, and those are on the left-hand side. So at this point, I'm going to click the Expand button, and that will open the exercises here. Step 1, we want to confirm the workbench is open. So you should see a workbench window with the workspace here loaded. One button that'll be helpful as well for you is in the banner, you'll see the Extents button. If you click Extents, that will take you to the full extents of your workspace. And you'll see that here. Step 2 has you examining the workspace. At this point, you can explore the workspace, and that's all we'll be doing in this first exercise. You're going to examine the readers and the writers and the transformers. You can also go through the steps to review those. If you have any screenshots that are too small, you can click on a screenshot and it will open it up larger in the middle. So as you can see, I don't know that we have any, this one down here at the bottom is quite small. So if I click on that with my cursor, it'll expand it to the screen. And then you can click outside. Lesson 2 will have you run the workspace. And so if you navigate to the banner here, you click on the run button. Oops, I clicked it twice. You click on the run button and it will actually run the workspace for you. And that will get you started on working through your exercises. So if you would, go ahead and click on the flask in a cloud icon, and you can start the lab yourself. So you should have everything opened for you already. As I mentioned, click the little bar with an arrow next to it to collapse any sidebars, and then also the pin, PIN, within FME. Go for it, and if you have any issues at all, click the raise hand button and lab assist. Thank you. Just as a reminder, if you click on the call for assistance button, you will have a user log on, or I'm sorry, a teaching assistant, a technical assistant who can log on to your machine, and then they'll start a chat with you on the right-hand side. So if you need assistance, click the need assistance button, and then there will be a chat pane on the right-hand side just with that individual. So they should start a chat with you, and you can then instant message back and forth with them in that chat pane on the right-hand side. Hi, Priya. Just wanted to let you know that I think Alex is trying to message you. So you might look on the right-hand side of your screen and click through an individual chat with Alex. He can help you out there. And for anyone still working, feel free to take your time. These two lessons kind of get you familiar with how to run a workspace and the concepts behind running a workspace and getting your data from the reader through the transformers into the writer. I'm going to keep moving, and if you have any other questions, feel free to hit that lab assistance button. Our TAs are still standing by, ready to help you. If you feel like you need a little bit more assistance just getting your screen set up or getting FME Form set up properly. For everybody else, if you want to click the Follow Presenter button on the top left, I will continue to move forward a little bit. All right, so viewing data. One of the great things about FME is its flexibility in how you can view data. As you saw in the last exercise, we were able to view all the data as it passes through the workflow. Feature caching shows how individual records move through the workflow. From the green eyeball icon, you can click to view the data at any point in your workflow. That view is shown in the visual preview mode, which opens in your FME Form workbench. And note that we can view tabular, 2D, and 3D data, spatial and non-spatial. So, just like it sounds, a writer writes out data when we have done what we need to do within the workspace. So we read in data, we transform it with transformers, and then we write data on the right-hand side. Whether this is a simple translation or something more complex with perhaps lots of transformations using lots of transformers, the principles are the same. We write out to a specific data set of a specific data format, and depending on the different groups of features, this data can be written out into their respective layers. Writers appear on the canvas and are also visible in the navigator. And as always, FME makes it easy to configure the parameters in either place. My preference tends to be on the canvas because that's where I spend most of my time. There are hundreds of different writers available. And those can be configured to your required specifications. What you're going to do now is undertake lesson 3, which deals with writers and writing data out to a specific directory. So I'll give you 5-6 minutes to do this task as well. Go ahead and dive in when you're ready. We'll give it about 1 more minute and then we'll start back into the presentation. Thanks. Okay, so if you are finished up, if you could click on the follow presenter toggle, and if you're still working, that's okay. Just continue going at your own pace. Those exercises will be there the entire time. And if you want to jump back into the presentation just to follow along, that might be easier and just kind of go back and forth. Just so you're able to keep up with some of the discussion topics. So if you click on the follow presenter toggle in the top right, that will bring you back to the presentation. One of the most powerful aspects of FME is the ability to handle and create multiple data streams at the same time. Data might come from multiple sources, like an Excel spreadsheet and an API, for example. Although the sources are different, you might want to combine these data sets. Maybe they share a common key field that you could join them on, or maybe you could use a powerful spatial join based on the location. These different streams of data can be manipulated in many ways. They could be filtered based on an attribute, let's say odd numbers being fed into one stream with even numbers being fed into another. Perhaps clients who bought one product are sent to one stream, while clients who bought a different product are sent to a different stream. Regardless of FME's capability to control and manage different streams of data is one of the strengths. And this is what you're going to see in the following exercise. So it shouldn't take too long. We are now on to exercise 4, and you'll learn a bit about multiple streams. So go ahead and click on the lab button, and you're free to go. Nice. So it looks like folks are starting to move through. And that's an excellent example of using the attribute validator and showing passed and failed data from such. Now, if you could click on the follow presenter button again on the top left, that will bring you back to the presentation. Next up, we will document. So FME is a highly visual tool. Just by looking at a workspace, you can often work out what it is doing. However, you can make this easier by adding bookmarks and annotations to your workspace. Think of it like commenting your code if you're a computer science person. As you have seen, bookmarks are a great way of grouping together transformers that are performing a particular task. You can even use bookmarks to group together other bookmarks, nesting them within the canvas. Annotations can help further by helping explain what a particular transformer is doing and what its purpose is. Adding bookmarks and annotation are good practice. And so you're going to learn how to do this and learn how easy it is to do it. A well-documented workspace is almost self-documenting, which can reduce the time needed to prepare as-builts. In this case, you can add those additional details through annotations and bookmarks, as well as just the visual function of laying out your workspace in a visually appeasing way. So this is what we're going to look at in the next exercise. You'll get to create an annotation for your workspace. Go ahead and dive into exercise 5. We'll give you a couple more minutes. I just wanted to say it looks like we have some really high engagement, so almost everybody's still working on the labs. That's fantastic. So thank you for staying with us, and nice job, everybody. I'll give you a minute or two to finish this one up. Okay, so if you want to hit that green toggle again to follow the presenter, we'll get into the next section. Hopefully by now you are starting to understand how powerful FME is. It allows you to transform your data for any purpose with great flexibility. The library, which offers a host of different transformers, enables you to manipulate your data to suit the different applications that you may have to integrate with. This increases the value of data by making it usable where, when, and how it's needed. FME helps you ensure that data quality is maintained, that data meets specific standards, which in turn increases that data confidence. You can easily expand your workflows to include new data sources as they become available without having to rewrite code. Finally, you should always bookmark and annotate your workflow so others can follow up on your work. Or it can help you remember what the workspace did when you wrote it sometime last year. As you will have seen, the blue transformers that sit between the readers and writers do lots of the heavy lifting when it comes to manipulating data. There are over 500 transformers that perform all kinds of functions. Some are very simple, others much more complicated. Linking the transformers together is what creates such a powerful platform. So, whether manipulating spatial or non-spatial data, the transformers mean that I don't have to write a single line of code and can still achieve amazing data manipulation and automation processes. In lesson 6, you will connect and view the parameters for the remaining transformers, enabling you to transform data. You can go ahead and dive into your lab, and you are on lesson 6. Again, if you're having a little bit of trouble, feeling like you could use some assistance, feel free to click the little hand on the left-hand side and then click the Need Assistance button. And one of our TAs can help. They can log on to your machine and help you get caught up if you feel behind. It's perfectly okay. It's new software, so I totally understand. So you'll click on the little hand and then click Need Assistance, and that will allow us to help you. Okay, hopefully everybody was able to do a bit of transforming. If you could click on the green toggle, the follow presenter toggle, we'll keep going and we will introduce FME Flow. So FME Flow is where we get to automate these processes. Automation saves you time and ensures the data arrives on time. With FME Flow, you can create all the automation in a web interface similar to the workflow. You can set up business rules that trigger workflows to run on schedules and in response to events. This might include an update to a database, an incoming email, or a workflow. You can also automate workflows to send notifications via SMS, email, or various web protocols. FME Flow also allows you to create web apps. So for example, an app that allows a contractor to upload a spreadsheet which FME checks to see if it is valid. So it meets a set of criteria that you have set. If it doesn't meet the criteria, then it won't let them upload it. This can be a great way to keep data standards high. With FME Flow, performing complex manual tasks is a thing of the past, allowing you to get on and do more interesting things. So how does FME Form and FME Flow work together? Well, we build or author our workspaces using FME Form. This is the data workflow or integration. Then we publish it to FME Flow. On FME Flow, we will then configure user parameters and permissions, as you might expect we would need to. We then run it on a schedule or with a trigger, which makes it automated or dynamic or both. There are a host of different ways to run your workspace on FME Flow, including as an application via internet browser described on the previous slide, or creating a self-service app for a contractor to upload a file to be processed, many others. Here's a different way of looking at it, a flow diagram. And this is the lowercase flow, not flow as an FME flow. It describes the process that we go through. Note that we can publish to FME Flow or the second option, a second step there, or FME Flow hosted. Excuse me. Which is a cloud instance of FME Flow, which is provided through Safe Software. We then set up a schedule or a webhook or a trigger that kicks the workspace off. It's worth understanding a little bit about engines now. In an FME Flow world, you can think of an engine as a processing power that runs the workspace. There is a one-to-one relationship between the workspace and an engine. So if you're running one workspace, then one engine runs it. If you had two workspaces and you tried to run them both at the same time, FME Flow has the ability to manage that queue. Each workspace would be run in turn. There are times when queuing workspaces isn't enough. Perhaps you have a large company with lots and lots of workflows. In this case, you might choose to buy another engine or multiple engines. And FME Flow then manages the requests for processing power to run multiple workspaces, farming them out to available engines. An alternative to this approach is dynamic engines. As the name suggests, the processing power and the number of engines grows and shrinks with the demand. At busy times, there are more engines. At quiet times, there are fewer. And this is ideal for unpredictable workflows and workloads, or when services are needing to scale. Here's an example of a data validation app. In this case, a user would upload a CAD file, and FME will check that data is a valid data type, a line, has a pipe diameter larger than 0, and it passes specific Open Geospatial Consortium validity tests. If the data the user uploads passes the test, then you can be sure that it meets your needs. But if it doesn't pass, we reject the data and highlight to the user that it is wrong. This is really powerful. Next, we'll run a workspace with FME Flow. You're going to be using FME Flow to run this workflow just as seen, and with the ability to change the buffer distance. So you'll run the same workspace you just created, but be able to change the buffer distance because the buffer distance has been set to what's known as a published parameter. Again, if you need any assistance, just hit the hand on the left-hand side and click the Need Assistance button. You can dive into Lesson 7 now. If you're having a bit of trouble getting started, because FME Flow is different than FME Form, go ahead and click on the green Follow Presenter button, and I'll just run through this real quick, just to show you how to get started. For those that are following along, you should see my lab on your screen now, and I have FME Form open. We're no longer going to need FME Form, so I will minimize it by clicking that down arrow, and I should see FME Flow, and I should also see localhost and FME server. So at this point, you'll see that I can log in using admin and the password FME Learnings. So I will come to this screen, type in admin and capital FME lowercase l EARINGS. Click on the little eyeball to make sure that it's correct. FME lowercase l learnings and login. And again, if you are like me, you can collapse your sidebars to give yourself more of a view. And this should enable you to see the screen to run a workspace. So number 2, underneath FME Flow, you'll see the Run Workspace button. From there, you should be able to take on the lesson. So feel free to click into your lab, and that shows you how to access FME Flow. If you have any trouble, again, feel free to click on the Need Assistance button, and one of our lovely TAs will jump in and help you. We'll take 1 or 2 minutes just to keep us moving, and then we'll keep rolling. Okay, so hopefully you were able to log into FME Flow and get things going. If you had any trouble, feel free to hit that need assistance button and somebody will jump in and help you out. Just to keep us moving with 15 minutes left. Next up, if you click on the green Follow Presenter button, you should see a slide that says Automate Workflows. So there are different ways to automate your workflows. Schedules run a workspace on a regular schedule, like every Thursday at 7 p.m., for example. Maybe you want to do an overnight backup of a data set or something else. A trigger might be something like a folder watch, for example. In FME, if FME detects that a new file has arrived into a specified directory, then run the workflow. Or maybe you receive an email into a specific mailbox, or maybe it's an IoT device capturing some data. Any of these things could act as a trigger. FME Flow also supports the use of webhooks and WebSockets, which make it an ideal platform to perform data integration. Although we aren't going to talk about that here, FME Flow also supports the concept of data streams, which are continuous sources of data from IoT devices, for example. These are the kind of triggers that make FME so flexible. Of course, FME Form also logs all the automations and notifies users if they fail. Here's an example of an automation that runs on a schedule. We can see that we have two parallel workflows. If we had two engines, both workflows would run at the same time for optimum performance. But if we only had one, then one workflow would run after the other. Nevertheless, we then merge the two data streams into one. We then validate the data, notifying via email if it is wrong before making the data available. This brings us to our final lesson, lesson 8. And this will take a closer look at the automation that you have just experienced, creating a daily list of food vendors impacted by roadworks. Nice. Well done, everybody. If you are at a good stopping point, go ahead and click on the follow presenter button in the top left, and we'll just finish this up. And if you aren't quite finished, you can stay online and catch up with those exercises. The machines will stay on for a few minutes after 11:30 or a few minutes after we finish at least, and you can finish up your exercises. So right before that exercise, I mentioned streaming, and here's a nice slide about it. So data streams are a way to handle real-time data from different devices. Each stream requires a dedicated engine as the data is constantly being updated and changed. Dynamic engines are for scaling. This is getting a bit more technical, but these are a great way to handle unusual bursts of processing power requirements because they expand to the amount of compute you need. Finally, we saw in the previous example, we can run multiple workspaces in parallel, meaning FME Flow will manage which engines are used to run your workspaces. Okay, so we are coming to the end of the accelerator. To recap, in the simplest terms, FME enables you to connect data between applications, transform your data in unlimited ways, and automate manual tasks, freeing you up to do much more important things, even if it is just having a cup of tea or a sit down. As wonderful as FME is, it is important to know that the FME platform isn't just about a bit of software. Safe Software and Locus believe in fully supporting our customers as you solve your challenges. We provide free resources so customers can gain the greatest return on their investment. The FME community is a lively place full of FME users and can be a great place to ask technical questions. Chances are your question has been already asked and you can find the answer quickly. Pose your question to the community if you need to. Safe Software is dedicated to constantly creating, updating, and refreshing free resources for its customers. This includes training courses, knowledge articles, webinars, and video tutorials. Safe Software and Locus also provide technical support for those trickier problems that the community can't answer. And finally, at Locus, we have all your FME related services covered, including licensing, training, administrative support, and services. So with that, thank you for being part of the Accelerator today. And thank you also to Alex, Mackenzie, and Dan for providing technical assistance. I hope you all have learned a little bit about FME, and should you wish to know more, please just reach out at hello@locus.co.nz, and we will also be sending you an email at the conclusion of this session, and that'll include a link to a feedback form and the recording to the session. I'll remain online if you have any specific questions, but if not, then I hope you have a great rest of your day. So, ke pai and matewa.